For an urgent meeting this morning, and we were waiting for him to return. Unfortunately, he has got delayed, so we have decided to start the event. Professor Chatterjee is going to come and join us later. I welcome our judges, Ms. Sudha Singh, Mr. Tathagata Chatterjee, Mr. Rajesh Pant, and Mr. Jaybal Nadhuvat. Most welcome, all of you, to SIMC for judging this event. I also welcome all the participants on various other colleges who have entered into this competition. Welcome to Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication. As we are already running late, I am not going to give you a long welcome address. I will hand you over to the students now for talking about this event and also introducing our judges to you, after which we will request all the judges to give a few words before we actually start the presentations. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Honored guests, Professor Indrani Sen, esteemed faculty and fellow students. Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication, PG Pune, in its Silver Jubilee year, is proud to present to you SIMChallenge 2015, a national level case study competition focused on solving the case the entire nation has been brooding over: Maggi in a soup. Let's pause for a minute and contemplate a world without Maggi. All I can see is chaos, anarchy, and the dawn of the apocalypse. Maggi has been around since its launch in 1983, if you can believe it. Maggi was the face of unconditional love, a true BFF if there ever was one. Maggi was the soulmate you couldn't take out to a candlelight dinner. I'm pretty sure Ted Mosby would still have tried, for those who have seen How I Met Your Mother. Maggi was the only entity on this planet, content and at peace in the friend zone. Fast forward to the present, Maggi is the BFF you failed. Maggi is the one that got away, repeatedly, from Ted Mosby. But as the Fray, and unfortunately Justin Bieber so eloquently puts it, never say never. Witnessing participation from over 80 teams from B schools across India, the likes of IIMs, FMS, SP Jain, KJ Somaiya, GBIMS, IMT, XIMB, SIBM and MICA, among others, the competition has been a phenomenal success. The best 10 teams have been shortlisted and will be presenting their plans to eminent industry stalwarts for the final round. I shall now introduce to you our judges. Today we have with us Mr. Rajesh Pant, founder and director of Candor Solutions Private Limited. His previous experience ranges from CEO of Sony MSM Network and sales director at City UAE. His specialties include brand management, advertising, marketing strategy, etc. We also have with us Ms. Sudha Singh, Executive President at Ogilvy Public Relations. She was previously associated with Reliance in the capacity of a VP and with Vaishnavi Corporate Communications as the Executive Director of Operations. We have with us next Tathagata Chatterjee, VP and Strategic Planning Director at WPP Group. His work experience ranges from Blue Hive, McCann, Dentsu to Tata Docomo. His specialties include integrated marketing, marketing strategy, Marcom, Brandcom, consumer insight and advertising. We also have with us our faculty, Jaybal Nadhuvat, who is VP at Perfect Relations, previously Vice President at Kotak and Group Head at AdFactors. That's it for today. Sorry. Let's just start with the event. Thank you. Please have Mr. Rajesh to open the ceremony with a few words.
Yeah, hi. Wonderful. Hey, cool down. Don't worry. It's just a competition. It happens every day, and it's going to happen for the rest of your life. Don't worry. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes here just to take you away from the topic. And nothing to do with Maggi, and nothing to do with soup. What I've learned over the last 42 years in working, compressed in 3 minutes. One is that what's happening today is not going to happen tomorrow. All of us think that what is happening today is a precursor of what's going to happen tomorrow and will lead on to what's going to happen day after tomorrow. None of the above is true. What happens today is unique. What happens tomorrow is as unique, but you know nothing about it. So keep that in mind. Number two, what is management? Management is simply three things. One, setting of goals. Two, is following up on what's happening, that is the numbers. And the three is rewarding performance. That is the sum total of this wonderful thing that all of you spent 2 years in learning. And I've said it in 3 words. And the last thing is that in business, there is no right or wrong decision. In business, there are only outcomes. And you don't know what's going to happen with that outcome. Alright? So, with those few words, have a great day. Thank you very much. I look forward to being here with you all.
If you could please join us.
Good morning, all of you, and thank you for waiting for us. Apologies for the delay on behalf of everyone here. It's wonderful to be here amongst so many young people. I think young people are the fountainhead of ideas and creativity and innovation. And of course, our country is heavily betting on the demographic dividend. What we are here for today is very exciting to me personally. Because as an individual, I've not been a big fan of Maggi, but as a mother, I've seen that my children are big fans of Maggi. So we live out of the UK, and every time I go back to the UK, the only thing I need to carry with me is packs of Maggi. You get Maggi in Southall and Wembley, etc., but nothing is as good as the original. So my children are feeling very let down by Nestle, that they feel that Nestle hasn't represented their beautiful brand properly. And I'm here to see how you guys are going to be working on creating a plan for supporting Maggi and putting the right face for Maggi in the media and for the stakeholders. So I won't waste your time. I'm waiting to hear from all of you. Thank you.
Mr. Chatterjee, sir, if you could please.
Very good morning, friends. So, it's really a great honor and a privilege for me to be part of the proceedings at this institute. And just to tell you a little story. So while I was kind of taking a taxi all the way from Gurgaon to the airport where I was supposed to take a flight, so I was engaging in a conversation with the taxi driver. So I asked him, so what's your point of view on Maggi? So the taxi driver said that, listen, I think Maggi is like petrol. So I said, why? He said, no, it comes in two variants, leaded and unleaded. No, I mean, so no, honestly, the conversation didn't happen that way. I just kind of made it up. But the point I'm trying to make is that Maggi, the question really is that is Maggi a brand? Is it a product? Is it a conversation point? Is it part of popular culture? What is it? You know, I think that's the first investigation we need to do. You know, in the form of an interrogation as to what is Maggi really. You know, what role does it play in people's lives? So I think that's a question which all of you guys need to ask yourself. For example, Sudha just mentioned to her as a parent, Maggi means something. I'm sure Maggi has its own interpretation amongst every one of you. I mean, in some sense or the other. So for some, it could be okay. I will not. It could be another way of 2 minutes of pleasure. But you know, it has its own different roles in everybody's life. So that's the first question. Second question, you should ask yourself the question: is Maggi really in a soup? So the topic, Maggi in a soup. Let's question this premise. Is Maggi really in a soup? Because I mean, I can argue and say that no, I don't think Maggi is in a soup. Rather, it's an opportunity for Maggi. It's like a big breakthrough. It's for Maggi. It's like it's a chance for Maggi to reinvent itself, you know, and make it Maggi 2.0. So that's a second question we would like to ask each other. And so I would expect from all of you guys to really ponder and try to identify the problem, because I think solutions are easy to find, but understanding and specifying the problem is really the task at hand. So that's something which I think all of us are expecting to hear from you and maybe learn a couple of fresh insights. And finally, I think we are looking, I mean, I'm at least very interested to know, the kind of innovative solutions, maybe you guys, and a very fresh perspective, a very original thinking, which you guys would be bringing onto the table. So that's something which I think I'm expecting, and I'm sure the faculty members are. So with that expectation, once again, I would like to express my thanks, and I would, I'm really looking forward to this session. Thank you once again.
Cheryl, sir, if you could please say a few words.
Very good morning, friends. Beautiful morning. Events such as these are meant to agitate our minds, help us reflect, help us look within, help us understand ourselves better. Because as a society, we don't ask questions. We rarely ask questions because we have a culture of Shruti. Shruti means we just sort of down. We rarely ask questions. As a result of which societies such as ours don't really develop, there isn't much R&D happening, there isn't much original research happening just because we don't ask questions. So this, I think, events such as these force our minds, thrust our minds to walk in a certain direction, to look in a certain direction. And I'm really hopeful to see some of that happening here. And if as many of us go out from here with the mindset to ask new questions, with the mindset to agitate our minds, and to reflect and to come out with new experiences, I think not only will we be enriched as individuals, but together we will enrich our nation. And like they say, as is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. I didn't say this, this was said by the Shilpa Veda, which is part of the Atharva Veda. So as when each of us as individuals grow, the nation grows. I wish you all the very best and a wonderful, wonderful day today. Thank you.
All participating teams, if you could please follow one of our student volunteers downstairs. We want you to wait outside while the team that presents, presents. So please follow one of our student volunteers outside. We have a classroom set up. X Factor from NNIMS is the first team that will present. So please sit down. Everyone else, all participating teams, please come down. Students, if you could please occupy the space that was left empty. Students, move forward, please.
Happens, you cannot just pull up your hand and say that we are focusing on it. You need to understand and reflect on the degree to which these products have misled people. Identify points for pertinent ethical conflict. So if there's a quality mismatch, just go through revamp the process entire, go through check-in, pre-production, post-production, everything has to be revamped. The affected parties, right from the dhabawala who sits outside my office and serves Maggi's to the consumer, it's all of the stakeholders in these kind of approaches. We need to prioritize the consumer aspect, and also the distributor's interest is also key concern. The relevant community standards, so understand and raise correct standards. So there are certain standards and we should be regularizing the checks again and again monthly. A framework for a post-crisis roadmap. So a crisis has happened. There's a certain crisis management team which handles it, right? So a crisis resolution, access and reviews the handling of crisis and recommendation changes, independent evaluation team. The two things which we are focusing on is evaluation and reflection over here. These are two main instances, and we want to gauge a post-crisis external stakeholders market to foothold and return to a pre-crisis figures. That's what our main approach is.
Taking forward to this, the next question is, how will you initiate the repurchase trial back, and how will Nestle make sure that this does not happen in future? So the methodology that we are actually considering here is that we are believing that Maggi is coming as a new product. That's a new invention for them. So taking that, we have adopted ATR model, that is awareness, trial and response. So we'll be covering a few of the points here. That is, we want to create awareness, that is by advertising and word of mouth. So for example, we start a campaign by the name Phir Wahi Swad, Bharose Ke Saath. So that could actually cater, one, in terms of that you bring in the leadership. For example, CEO comes in with an advertisement portraying that his family is eating Maggi and it's completely safe. The other aspect, you have to make sure and respond and reach to the consumer, mentioning clearly that it's the same old product, that it is not just the ban has been uplifted. It was the same old product which we have been eating for the past 30 years, is back, and it is the same safe product. Trial is something that we'll be providing them with the sampling of the products, Maggi. For example, what we can do is we have Nestle lined up. We can give them as a goodie with current Nestle products. Number one, what we can do is there are certain Maggi joints points, especially in hilly areas and local sites. So what we can do is we can have a tricycle campaign there. Next is repurchase. So Maggi campaigns, advertisement showing mothers confidently feeding Maggi to their children. That clearly shows a faith of taking customer loyalty forward. We can also tie up with the cookery shows, and which actually portrays the Maggi recipes, which would come in very handy when it comes to the consumer taking that forward. Now, this is what I've covered. The second part of the question is how you make sure that this does not happen in the future again. So, put more money in Q&A. Second thing is engage a customer for a periodic recycle and feedback. Third, I would say be assertive. Nestle is not coming out in open speaking about it. They are just being silent. Don't be silent, come out, speak up, tell your consumers that's what they want to hear you. And the last point is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Maggi is gone, Nestle is running into losses. Put your efforts on the other products as well. Now taking forward.
Positioning Maggi's image as a trustworthy brand is a two-step process, short run and long run. In the short run, what we're trying to do is immediate image building. So we believe that this has to be done for all the stakeholders involved in the process. And we call this campaign, umbrella campaign, I Trust My Maggi campaign. So for consumers, we are leveraging on the emotional equity that the research says that Maggi enjoys with its consumers. And we wish to portray this as a lapse and not a breach of trust. And for the supply chain, we'll be offering them incentives and increased bonus and perks wherever deemed necessary to encourage them to buy in bulk. For the employees, we believe that it's very important to establish a clear and transparent communication channel
that is added to the products so that a better taste can be. It's a kind of a taste bud that enhances the taste of an item, and these are present in almost everything like tomato, peas, and everything. And consumption in a limited quantity is not bad for health, and that has been recognized by the different organizations like World Health Organization as well. So monosodium glutamate, there's a limit like 2.5 ppm to 5 ppm in different products that have been consumed. The Maggi was having the problem that the taste maker, that is the small taste maker that comes with the noodles, contained MSG that was that crossed the ceiling level, and that was the problem. But Maggi should convey to public that pacemaker is not is only used with the noodles and not individually. So this can be conveyed. Also, Maggi should convey to the consumer what actually is MSG and how are its health effects on the health effects when you consume them. So you can see that monosodium glutamate contains 1/3 of the sodium content that is present in the salt. So that is quite less. And monosodium glutamate in Maggi is around 0.2 grams per 100 grams, and that is also not bad for the health of the people. So this should be conveyed to the people, because many of us don't know what MSG is. Even a pack of Lay's contains MSG. The problem here was that Maggi had written on their product that it does not contain MSG. So this was an issue, and I think Maggi should take some corrective measures and tell to the public that yeah, this was the wrong thing we had done. It contained MSG, but it was in the limited quantity.
So I would be further talking about marketing strategies and how Maggi can come back into the market. First of all, taking up into consideration marketing. Nestle can use net and internet and billboards. On net, basically it can focus like Flipkart. Flipkart uses the complaints of the people and addresses it instantly on the internet. So like Facebook. Same way, Maggi can also make a portal and where they can instantly address all the problems related to Maggi and answer to the public. And large chunk of money can be spent on rebranding Maggi, as Sir rightly said in the beginning. It can be Maggi version 2. And then emphasis should be given on the health factor as well, like taking into consideration the emotional touch through advertisements, like taking mothers into the advertisements and then making ads. And calling of the product, which Maggi did rightfully, was the best way. Accepting their problem and taking back the product was one of the best ways Maggi could have done it. And Maggi should as well take various tests that they have performed in the countries like Canada and Singapore, and they can even show those tests in India as well, that it's being rightfully sold over in other countries. And talking about the brand image, it has to take into consideration the stakeholders and the public who consumes Maggi. So like Maggi is the product of the mass, as we all know, and so they should be publishing results and performance in developed countries will show that Nestle cares for people. The reports should be given to public as well. And for key stakeholders, Nestle can ask them to stay as a family and have full faith in them, and show them the future projected sales, how they would further come back into the market and project their sales, and how they are going to sustain Maggi. Talking about media, here what Maggi can do is, like, the management team can come down and address the public on a large scale and tell them what the issue was and how they have what they have done to address those issues. There can be an interview with the CEO of Nestle, which can be uploaded on YouTube and Maggi's website, so that people can know what all factors Maggi have. Even what we can do is, like, the CEO himself can sit and consume Maggi in front of people, or his family can sit and even consume Maggi and show that this Maggi is safe for others. There can be a press release which can bring out Maggi has low content of MSG and it's safe for people to consume. And healthy Maggi, as we have already talked about earlier, that there can be advertisement with emotional touch in it, where mothers and children can be in the ad, and that healthy Maggi can be promoted.
Yeah, so I'll be talking about the steps that Nestle should take so that this thing does not get repeated again in the future. So first, the management can be made a little more efficient, so that they can know about the various changes in law that are taking place. Like they had done a mistake of writing that no MSG is present on thing, because they thought the food content, the main food content, that is the noodles, does not contain MSG. It's the raw materials and all. Those are the things that contain MSG, and that is why they had given this thing. So management should be encouraged to know about the latest law aspects, and also to keep an eye on the production line. Now the second thing that can be done is, like, production line can be, they should also publish reports quarterly basis, and they should be shared with the customers that how Maggi is doing the different kind of tests and what are the results of these tests. And now the last part of the section of the thing was what will be the strategy for Maggi so that it can come back into the market, and what are the long-term and short-term strategies. I think first of all we have listed down Maggi is targeting which kind of audience. The first can be the people who do not have time for all this, like especially mostly the college students or IT people who do not care about these kind of things. They just go for the taste because Maggi has been with them for a long time. The second can be the people who are really concerned about health issues, like the housewives, the kids, the mothers. So for this, there can be the endorsement by different people. One can be like endorsement by the doctors. We have seen ads of toothpaste endorsing the product using dentists. The other can be endorsement through celebrities. Maggi has a long list of celebrities, Madhuri Dixit being one. And next can be the endorsement through food and regulatory authority. The last can be using the internet and telling the world that Maggi is a better product now, and it's following all the standards.
And talking about the short-term and long-term strategy, in short-term, as Maggi said, it was rightly accepted the mistake and apologized to the public and change the packaging. They can change the packaging and come up with like some better packaging, and they should mention all the ingredients present in Maggi as well as the MSG content. And huge advertising campaign should focus on like other countries where Maggi is selling. They can focus on that and leverage it accordingly in India as well. And for long term, they should take care of the test being conducted in the right manner, and all the contents are taken into consideration. And in the future, if this same problem persists, they should. Thank you.
First, I think a couple of slides on communicate, no blame. I didn't understand how you just started off. But two points that you made in the communicate part is accepting that you made an error and you were against the law, that you worked against Maggi, you worked against the law. I think there's a better way of putting it. Even if you made a mistake, how you acknowledge is very critical. The one good point in the presentation early on, which you said, which I think everyone has missed, is that Indians are emotional people. And I think any strategy, any campaign that you're looking at has to look at targeting that part of it. And while you mentioned it in one place, I don't think anywhere else you have even looked at linking it up. So by and large, that's my input, and I was a bit confused by the flow of your presentation.
Yeah, I think I would like to echo what Jaipal had mentioned earlier to one of the teams, which is, the point which he made about admission of guilt. Now, if a large pillar of your strategy is hinged on Nestle publicly apologizing for the mistake they have made, my question is that, therefore it assumes that a grave error of judgment has been committed, and we are admitting that guilt. Now the question is that, is it strategically correct? Given Nestle is a multinational, it could have an impact on other countries. So that, from a corporate PR perspective, from the impact perspective, you need to take cognizance of that fact. So if you have, then I did see that reflection coming in the presentation. So in fact, you had made a statement that they would issue to the effect that they are ready to cooperate with the FFSI. To me, it's like, once upon a time, Tarun Tejpal said that, he's ready to cooperate with investigative agencies. So it can be, this is a very standard statement. It has happened many times. We all know the hollowness of it. So I think from a pure corporate communication perspective, that line is a very loaded one, and I don't think that may not be the best recommended strategy. That's what I feel. Maybe the other judges have a view on that.
No, I have no view. Thank you. I only wish to request you to do some research on the difference between glutamate and monosodium glutamate. And if monosodium glutamate, as you claim, contains only 20% or 30% of sodium, does it make it any better? I think you need to do a little bit of thinking on that. Huh? Thank you.
Next up, we have Visitivity from SIMC Pune.
Good afternoon, we're Team Visibility. And before we start, we wanted to present some facts and figures in front of you. That is actually the amount of instant noodles that's consumed in India, and Maggi contributes to 80.2% of it. And that is the amount that Maggi generates for Nestle every year annually, which actually accounts for 45% of their annual income, which is a lot.
Dollars, rupees,
Rupees.
euros.
Rupees. Sorry.
The one previous to that was
that was units, the number of packets that of Maggi that are, of instant noodles that are consumed. And so it's safe to say that with this figure, Nestle was in for a major shock when reports showed that lead was found in Maggi. What amplified? So Maggi was banned across all the states except for West Bengal. What amplified the crisis to the minds of the consumers were the contradictory statements that were made by Nestle. So for instance, they said that we are safe for consumption, but they still removed all their products from the market without a government saying that they need to remove it. However, fortunately for Maggi, several factors like the willing suspension of disbelief within us brand loyalists and the fact that they were allowed to export products actually worked for the favor of Maggi. A current analysis of the 3C model provided with us with several insights. The relationship between the company and the consumer is facing a severe crisis because the consumer feels that the product is failed at the product level. Apart from this, the competitors are taking a huge advantage of this. So for instance, YY has come up with packaging, they've copied the packaging of all products. And Yippee has actually come up with a TVC which shows that they're safe for consumption. But our primary research showed that despite all of this, Maggi is actually still ranking the highest. This is what our other stakeholders have to say about the product. So for instance, the NFC person who sells Maggi downstairs actually had to say that his sole income actually depended on Maggi. So which is actually a lot. He sold around 50 packets of Maggi in one day, which is a huge income for him. A small snapshot defining the demographics. As per IAS 2012, our primary TG falls as 15 to 30 students and working professionals, while our secondary TG is 30 to 40 professionals and housewives. Our primary research showed us that 66% of this are actually brand loyalists who are actually verbally commenting on social media that we want Maggi back. This is what they've been saying. So the majority of the statements that are maintained on social media are neutral. This is because of the lack of communication provided to them. While Maggi has always been a pulsing advertisement, flighting advertisement, we want to make a permanent advertisement for the next 1 year. Over the past, Maggi has maintained their positioning. This is our new positioning that we've come up with.
Yeah, so while the core positioning of the Maggi remains the same, what we thought is that Maggi should focus on two new things, that is safety and a brand that cares for its consumers. So Maggi has always been positioned for bus 2 minutes and 2 minutes mein khushiyan. So the new campaign and the new tagline that we have thought of is Khushiyan Dobara. Okay, so the reason why we are communicating is to regain the lost trust of the consumers and to reinitiate purchase after its launch. So that being said, Maggi should definitely be careful about two things. That it should not now have a new CSR activity and should not have any celebrity endorsements. And we have already analyzed the key drivers and barriers of the communications before the plan. Maggi has never been a noodle for us. It is the love and attachment that makes us think of garam Maggi on a cold and a rainy day. So it's an emotion and attachment ranking highest in the brand engagement map. Hence, it occupies the position of attachment at the top. So these are the mediums where we wish to focus on, and this is according to the reach and affinity of the mediums. Okay, so coming to our communication strategy, so we have divided our campaign into under 6 phases. First being the crisis, which will educate the stakeholders. Second being the pre-launch, which will generate all the positive sentiments and create the buzz. The launch and the short-term phase will focus more on rebuilding and retaining the trust of the consumers. And then we have the long-term campaign, which will be more towards sustaining the love for the brand. Then, talking to the stakeholders in the crisis, so as per research, we observed that due to lack of awareness, there were a lot of negative emotions and comments that were generated. And the pre-launch strategies, one more thing that we thought of is the press conference, where we have Maggi officials interacting with Indian consumers and telling them and assuring them that Maggi is safe to consume. And the press conference will also include the launch of See It to Believe It. So this will be visit to factory, Maggi factory outlets, where consumer will feel assured that Maggi is safe to consume. And later on, this will be converted into OH later. And lastly, we have the social media strategies, which is when I miss Maggi the most, and my favorite Maggi dialogue, that will be a dub smash thing, and a FB relaunch event, that will be are you buying a Maggi?
So coming to the launch day, on the day of distribution launch, Mumbai midday readers are to be greeted with a pleasant and aromatic surprise, where their newspaper is covered up with a wrapper of Maggi, with the detailed ingredients and also what happened with Maggi. So we should also try to launch the Google Doodle on the same day. And the new packing. So this is Maggi's new packing. The fact is that this will come with a new kit. The kit has been provided and that works like a litmus test to determine the lead content shall be conveyed to the world with this new enhanced packing.
Expensive and often hit or miss. Harness the power of reach marketing. We've all heard about the.
So okay, this is a social media campaign, pay-per-tweet campaign. Moreover, the social media editors follow. So they also we want to give them also a surprise too. So where they are greeted with a pay-per-tweet campaign for buying Maggi by tweeting in the first 2 minutes of each and every hour of the day. So the thank you notes. Just think of your brand which you like is surprisingly sending you the personalized thank you note. Yes, we want to thank each and every Maggi loyalist we observed on the social media who tweeted and posted positively about us. Also, we will send them the whole range of Maggi products to convert the Maggi loyalists into the Maggi brand loyalists. Yes. Not just them. The internal agencies and Nestle companies shall be surprised with a visit from the Maggi marketing drone that shall make a statement that their canteens have been restocked with the favorite Maggi. Keeping that impact multiplier theory in mind, these concepts shall be amplified on social media in hope to create virality on earned media. The chosen few from the See to Believe It visits shall be provided an opportunity where the Maggi shall be paid towards with the holdings and comments of the people what they say. And lastly, we will launch the TVC with an effective frequency of 2.8. So the storyboard will go like this. It's not exact TVC. Yeah, we'll show it later.
So Nestle will be conducting a nationwide pan-India activation in various malls throughout India. And this activation will basically, I'll just take you through, we have prepared a national reporting sheet for this activation. So there's no purpose of any communication strategy without counting sales. Sales is the most important thing that we need right now again. So as you see the number of cities on our left and the parameters as to which we will be counting our sales, we'll have promoters in these malls who will be promoting Maggi, who will be equipped with a tablet to show the consumers the videos of how Maggi is safe. If they don't believe it, even after the video, we have a litmus test happening side by side. We'll be calculating the number of consumer interactions, the videos shown, the conversion percentage, litmus test, percentage conversion and sales. We'll be tracking this regularly throughout 6 months, week by week. We got back selfies is just a digital social media strategy where people will be asked to tweet or asked to post their selfies with Maggi, and these selfies will be displayed on the live screens in various malls. It will be a digital hoodie. To sustain love. Now this is basically, this is a long-term strategy. This is after the market is being normalized. This basically, we realize that where do we miss Maggi the most? It's at these remote areas when you have nothing to eat, that people actually miss Maggi the most. So what we'll do is we'll create a Maggi station. It's like so there's a phone inside this, if you can see. Right, you have to make a call and a car will come back with, if you're 2 people, you get 2 seats and a Maggi with you. We'll generate some employment in these rural areas as well.